I'm Eli.
I'm Jaden.
And this is Yahu in the Torah, and this is Youth for Yah.
That's a little introduction ever, alright? Continue on.
We hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you are catching this live, we appreciate you guys' time that you take a little bit of time out and catch us live. We like spending time with you guys. It is very fun to hear your responses real time, hear your thoughts real time, and have an actual conversation with you guys, just replying to the comments as is. So, starting off, we are in 21 of Proverbs, chapter 21, which means we are in this 21 weeks, which is kind of crazy to think about. We're almost done with Proverbs, just another, what is
10.
it? Another 10 weeks, and we're done with Proverbs, and that's a crazy thing to think about. So we got to find another book to do after that, but for now, we are going to be finding out what Proverbs has to say to us. And this isn't just for youth anymore. This is for everyone, because it seems that everyone joins in. It wasn't just youth that was here. It wasn't just youngsters. It was actually adults and people there. So yeah, how are you guys doing?
The Grand Shalom, thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing today?
And so before we begin, I also want to mention the Telegram channel, that we have a channel for Telegram. We also have a second channel, and we also have, all the links will be in the description. I think they already are.
Only one is Telegram.
Okay, well, everything will be in the description at the end of this. The second channel, and then Odyssey and BitChute. We have all of that as well. So feel free to check those out in case we do get striked here and we can't continue on anymore here. We will have a second channel, BitChute, and Odyssey. I think there's a couple others, but I don't remember the names of them. So we are going to begin in Proverbs 21.
Emissary of Elohim, thanks for joining us. Yeah, it's great to have you here.
Proverbs 21, verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of Yahuwah, as the rivers of wheresoever he will.
So this can pretty much be for everyone, because Yahuwah controls waters. He can make them go one way, or he can make them go over.
He can split the Red Sea.
Right, he can make a waterfall go back up if he really wanted. And so he's talking about a king's heart here. He can make a king's heart do wrong. He can make them go against another nation. He can make them stop his people from sinning. And that's all men. He can control all men's hearts. And Yahuwah controls everything. So Yahuwah controls the heart of all mankind.
And it really makes you question, why would you want to go against Yahweh? He said if he controls the hearts, if he knows the hearts and can control all of it, if it's all in his hands, why would you want to go against what he said? It's just another display of the mighty power of our Elohim, that he controls kings, that he controls people that wage war, people that are most feared of all men, which were kings back then, because the kings could say go and they could wipe out an entire nation, and that would be it. And if Yahuwah controls it, he has all the power.
Verse 2. Every way of is right in his own eyes, but Yahuwah ponders the hearts.
So that's very, when someone does something, it's always right in their eyes, whether they know it or not, whether they do it, but they don't weigh it against the Torah. They don't look at it against the Torah until afterwards, after they've made that. That's why we have rash actions, rash judgments that can cause a lot of problems, and that's what we need to watch out for. But if we are doing the Torah, if we are doing good, Yahuwah judges the hearts. Yahuwah weighs it. He understands these things if it is done in a righteous manner. He says he weighs the hearts. He's going to reward those who are good or reward those who are evil, whether it was right in our eyes or not. That's why we have to always have the Torah on our mind, because if something is right in our eyes and it ends up losing our soul, how right was it really?
Verse 3. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to Yahuwah than sacrifice.
So Yahuwah wants us to be perfect. He wants us to be people that aren't sacrificing. We're sacrificing, you've sinned. And so he wants justice and judgment. He wants right ruling done. He wants people to be honest. He wants people to be doing the Torah. And he doesn't want sacrifice. And a lot of people take that concept. He doesn't want sacrifice. He doesn't want to follow the law anymore. That's not true. He'd rather have you obey so you're not sacrificed. So you don't need to have an animal killed for your sin. He'd just rather have you obey and not break the commands.
And it's the same. When you sin, you are putting Yahushua on the cross. And you were making slaughterings and offerings to appease Yahuwah, to turn his wrath away from you. Because when you sinned against him, when you were of Yashrael, that would be, he would punish you, he would curse you, he would curse the camp, and that was to appease him, that was to make him so that he's at peace with you again. And he says, I'd rather just have you obey me, I'd rather just have you do what I say, than you continually bringing offering all the time, because you can't stop sinning.
Verse 4. A high look and a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked is sin.
So these are kind of things that are like, this is sin, right? People that are prideful in their own eyes, people that think they are better, someone with a chip on their shoulder, that they think they're better than other people, that they think they can do no wrong, and those people that walk around thinking they are the best at everything they do. And that is evil. That is kind of evil. That you don't want to have a haughty look. You want to be a humble person. You want to be able to be kind. You want to be on the level of everyone, because everyone here is on the same level. There is no one greater than anyone here. And so we all are on the exact same level to be able to teach. And when you are doing these things, it is sin, it is wickedness, because if you are not humble, you will not humble yourself before Yahuwah. And if you don't humble yourself before Yahuwah, do you truly follow him? And a lot of people won't humble themselves. A lot of people won't follow the law because they think it's a pride. It might be a pride thing. They fight it, no matter how much evidence there is. They will fight it, and it could be a pride thing. So, are you this kind of prideful person, or is pride causing you to sin?
Verse 5. The thoughts of the diligent tend only to plenteousness, but of everyone that is hasty, only to want.
So I'm going to read that out of mine, and for those that don't know, there's several Bibles open here on the screen, and off to the side here, I'm reading out of the Hallelujah Scriptures, and mine says, right here in verse 5, it says, "The plans of the hard worker lead only to plenty, but all rash haste is only to poverty." So if you are planning out something and you're a hard worker and you're getting it done, you're providing for your family, there's plenty coming in, you're getting food coming in and putting it on the table, and that's what we as men were called to do. That's what our jobs were called. When Yahuwah created us, he told men, he said, "Men, you need to plow the field." That's what he told Adam. He says, "You're going to tend to the garden, and your wife is going to help you." And that was how Yahuwah set it up, that the man of the family was going to bring in the food. He was going out to plow the field. That's how it's been since creation. That's how it's been the pattern. That's what we're supposed to be doing as men. And even as children, we're supposed to be helping out our family, doing what we can do, helping out. Because if we're lazy and we are speedily going through things just to get it done, it says that we'll only get to poverty. We're only going to go hungry. We're only going to go to bed hungry, even if we can't go to bed if our hunger is not too much.
Jasmine Shalom, emissary of Elohim. Yes, Elohim wants your heart to desire what he desires. Absolutely. He wants us to be obedient. He wants us to be doing what he wants. He doesn't want us to be going off astray. He wants us to be a holy people, because he wants a holy people. He wants someone that will follow him and obey him, and people that don't obey him are not following the desires of Yahuwah.
Verse 6. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a vanity tossed to and fro of them that seek death. The NIV says, a fortune made by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare.
So this kind of goes back to the Torah here, where we talk about not ripping people off, not taking people and robbing them by adding weights and measures and things of that, but having just weights and measures. And it says it leads to death. It's a fleeting vapor that leads to death. When you rip someone off, Yahuwah absolutely hates it. It's almost an abomination to him. It probably is one of the abominations. It's not talked about, but when you rip someone off, he hates it. He said it so many times in the Torah not to have unjust weights and measures. He wants fairness. He wants equality. He doesn't want people that are acting like the heathens do when they sit there and rob each other, rip each other off for an extra $1, an extra 50 cents on whatever it is. He wants just weights and measures. That's how it's supposed to be. And if you are going off on that path, ripping people off through lying and through evil by adding charges and things that should not be there, Yahuwah said that's evil. That's evil in his eyes.
Verse 7. The robber of the wicked shall destroy them, because they refuse to do judgment. The NIV says, the violence of the wicked will drag them away, for they refuse to do what is right.
Alright, so what is that, the violence of the wicked? I would think that would be the judgment of Yahuwah. That would be when he drags them away, when he says, "Depart from me, ye who do not know my Torah, those who do lawlessness." He says, "I never knew you." That's the violence, that's the wicked. The people who don't do right is those who go against the Torah, and because that's what is called good. That is what is called right several times throughout the Bible. He goes, "My Torah is good, my commands are good." And that's what Yahuwah said, that the commands are good. We all know these are good, and that is right. So knowing what is right is the Torah, and that is the Torah. And if those who do against the Torah are wicked, and violence will drag them away, and that's just more scary things to think about if you are outside of the Torah.
Verse 8. The way of man is froward and strange, but as for the pure, his work is right. The NIV says, the way of the guilty is devious, but the conduct of the innocent is upright.
So the way of the froward should be strange to us. The way of a wicked person should be very strange to us. It should be something we don't know, because we don't want to be outside the Torah, but we know we can see these people, and we want to be righteous. We want to be the people who work right. We want to be pure. That's what we strive to be. We don't want to be those people that are out there with the world, because the world will look strange to us. We will look strange to the world because we do not do what they do. We do not obey what they do. We do not do the evil that they do, and it will be strange because most of the world does evil things and they're okay, it's just normal. But if everyone's followed Torah, if they looked at the world, they'd say those people are very strange because they aren't doing what the Torah says.
Verse 9. It is better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than with a brawling woman in a wide house. The NIV says, better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife.
So this can be for anything. This can be for a spouse, a brother, a sister. It doesn't have to be a quarreling wife, so to say. But it is better to be in a small place where you're comfortable and where you're in peace than having a large house, a giant house, a mansion even, and there's just no peace. There's brawling, there's contention. You're supposed to have peace and contention in the family. That's what a family is for. It is not meant to be a war zone in your own house. You're supposed to be striving and living and going according to the Torah. And if you are not, you are going to have these problems. You're going to have strivings and contentions, and you're going to have these brawlings and this unpeacefulness in your house, because the Torah brings peace, it brings correction, it brings understanding. You know how you should be living and how you should be conducting yourselves according to the Torah. And so that's what you don't want, is you don't want a brawling household.
Right, it's better to have nothing and have peace than to have everything and have an unhappy household. It's just better to have nothing and to have a little bit of peace than it is to have no peace and have everything in the world.
Verse 10. The soul of wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no favor in his eyes. The NIV says, the wicked crave evil. Their neighbors get no mercy from them.
So when someone is evil, the wicked people, even their own neighbors, the people that they know them, they get no mercy until they're done, they're full. And that's something we need to watch out for, is that we do not become the wicked, that we do not fall off the path and become wicked to where we hate our neighbors. And if we hate our neighbors, we're not doing the Torah. We are going against the Torah, because we are supposed to love our neighbors as ourselves. That is a commandment. That is what Yahushua said was the second greatest command, was love your neighbor on yourself.
Verse 11. When the scorner is punished, the simple is made wise, and when the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge.
So when you have a scoffer is someone that's going to be belittling someone, it's going to be someone that is mocking someone, and when it says punished, the simple are made wise, and that's because the scorner is taken out. The person that is keeping them from knowledge is gone. They now can learn. They can now not be attacked. They can now be in peace, and that's what we have to do. We have to take out the stumbling blocks in our lives. If there is something that is keeping you from the Torah, if there is a friend or something that is keeping you from trying to follow the Torah, you have to get rid of that in your life. You have to follow the path of the Most High, because your soul is more important than a friendship. Unfortunately, that is how it is. If you lose your soul for another person, it does you no good in the afterlife. You may have gained a friend in the world, but you've lost your soul forever, and how much more is worth your soul than anything else. So your soul is the most important thing you must protect. And so when it says when the simple receive wisdom, they gain knowledge.
Verse 12. The righteous man wisely considers the house of the wicked, but Elohim overthrows the wicked for their wickedness. The NIV says, the righteous one takes note of the house of the wicked and brings the wicked to ruin.
So in the NIV, it seems like it's alluding to Yahuwah, but in Sefer it doesn't. So
it just says the righteous man, and that in mine it says the righteous one with a capital one.
So
I believe it's referring to Yah, and it says he takes note of the house of the wicked, and he will bring it to ruin. And that's a promise that the evil will not tread on this world forever. And we need to keep our faith in Yahuwah, that he will deliver us from these evil people, because he will. He says here that he will bring down the house of the wicked. The house of the wicked shall not stand forever.
Verse 13. Whoso stops his ears at the cry of the poor, he also shall cry himself, but shall not be heard.
Now, there's a lot of people. We see a lot of people, and maybe a lot of people in everyday lives. You know, you live in a city, you live somewhere. You'll see people on the street with cardboard says, "Please help me. I need food. I need money." Or someone might come to you and say, "Can you give me anything? I need some food." And you look at them and you walk away like you just don't care. That's going to be you. You're going to end up being that person. And when you're hungry, please, you have that sign in your hand on the street corner. You say, "Please feed me. I need food." And you're just begging for life, just trying to get a little food for your next meal. You will be crying, because the same thing will happen to that person. And the cycle continues. Every time someone does it, they will end up being that person. That is what Solomon says. If you hate the poor, you will end up being the poor, and you will be hated. So don't hate the poor. You should love the poor. You should be helping them. When they say, "I need some food," help them out with food. Do what you can to help them. And if you got anything, give them the word, Teach them the word. Try to sit with them. Spend time with them. Make a friend. Because the poor are very humble people. They need help, and that is what you can do. You can help them. You can give them a better chance. You can maybe even have a chance to save their soul. Teach them the Torah. Teach them the word Yahuwah. And maybe that'll change their life. Maybe that'll help them.
Verse 14. A gift in secret pacifies anger, and a reward in the bosom strong wrath. The NIV says, a gift given in secret soothes anger, and a bribe concealed in the cloak pacifies great wrath.
So a gift in secret, it seems here, is a bad thing. It would be a bad thing to give a gift in secret, because why would you give it to stop anger? Because it seems like a bribe is more, I think it is better worded as a bribe in secret pacifies anger, and this is where you cannot take bribes, you cannot turn your eye away from the justice, you cannot, just because you are more favorable towards one person, or there's more in favor, or there's more that you can receive by casting the judgment wrong, it's not right. It is against the Torah. You must be judging correctly. When a matter is brought to you and you have to judge this moment, you really need to set your worldly lust and your worldly wants aside, and you have to base this on the Torah. What is the right thing to do? You cannot take a bribe, because a bribe does pervert the eyes of justice, of the judgment that needs to be made. And if you let wicked go, if you let wicked be free and you punish the just, then only wicked will increase, and it will only bring more problems and more curses into your life.
Emissary of Elohim said, give good news to everybody. Absolutely, everybody share the good news. We should be telling everybody in our daily lives, co-workers, we should each get, maybe it doesn't have to be the full thing. Just give them some hints, give them some things, tell them a little about Torah, tell them about a little bit of the gospel. See what they believe in, test them, see if they actually know anything. And you got to teach them, you give them a little bit each day. It doesn't have to be all at once, but you can teach them and try to get them on that path. They need to learn little by little, because some people can't take the whole good news all at once, because they feel like they're overwhelmed, they feel like they need to change everything at once. So if you teach them, they might get a chance to start learning step by step.
Verse 15. It is joy to the just to do judgment, but destruction shall be to the works of iniquity.
So again, we have a thing here that says, it is joy to do right ruling for the righteous, but ruin to the worst of wickedness. And where have we heard this before? Right ruling is the Torah. And what have we heard before from people that say that the Torah is a burden, the Torah is hard, it is a problem, it is a ball and shackle on my ankle, I can't do any of the Torah, it's too hard for me, it is, what is it? It was,
Light on the cross?
No, they use another word. It's they use it as not a burden, but something else.
A yoke?
A yoke. It's a yoke on their neck. It's a problem, and that's what it is. That's what it says. It's ruin to the workers of wickedness. And people that hate the Torah will say that it is too hard for them to keep, that they cannot keep it, that it is a problem, and that's exactly what he says here. So for those that hate the Torah, they are workers of wickedness. The people that make excuses for not following the Torah, saying it's too hard, is a worker of wickedness according to the Bible, according to Proverbs. They are a worker of wickedness, but it is joy. We have joy in the Torah. We have joy in Yahushua. We have joy in waking up, following the commands, because that is what we do. That is how we're supposed to live our lives. We're supposed to write on our hearts, minds, and souls. And if we're doing that, it's a joy to us, because we know that eternal life is coming. Yahuwah is going to repay us for our deeds, and we're doing what He wants most of all.
Right, Emissary of Elohim said, Abraham saved many by righteous example. Absolutely. We should be striving to be very humble people, very obedient people, very nice people, kind people, loving everyone. Because if we show an example, because, there's not a love left in the world. People are very evil, they're very cruel. And if you show this kind of example, they'll see you as different. They might want to know why you're different, what makes you different. And you have a good chance of showing an example and setting someone straight and showing them that how they can be that, be a nice person, be a kind person, be an obedient person to Yahuwah. And you have that chance by being by being a righteous person, by walking the righteous path, and being a humble person. You can show other people the truth.
Verse 16. The man that wanders out of the way of understanding shall remain in the assembly of the Rephaim. The NIV says, whoever strays from the path of prudence comes to rest in the company of the dead.
So if you stray from the Torah, it says you're going to rest with the dead. That's not a good thing. When you die, this is talking about the second death. You are going to Sheol. You're not going to go into the Shamayim. You're not going to enter the glory and the reign of Yahuwah. It says when you stray from the path of righteousness and prudence and guarding your soul, it says you will dwell with the dead. And the dead are those who are dead in their soul, not with those who are dead in the ground.
Verse 17. He that loves pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loves wine and oil shall not be rich.
So if you love pleasure, you are poor, because you are going to lust after whatever pleasure you can get. You're going to try and find it. And we are not here to sit there and try and find pleasure in life. We are trying to be holy. We're trying to prove ourselves to our Creator, that we are His people, that we are willing to obey what He says. And it says, if you love wine and oil, you do not become rich, because you're using it up. You're consuming it. You're consuming that wine and oil, and you are throwing it away.
Right, you're using the luxuries of the world, and you're using it very fast. You're just spending your money on it.
And a spiritual look at this, if you're just consuming the wine and oil can be also the Torah. We can look at the parable of 5 virgins who had the oil, who had extra oil in their lamps, and that was considered the Torah. Or you could look at the 5 foolish virgins. If you're just consuming it, getting rid of it, throwing it away, you don't have oil for when the bridegroom comes.
Verse 18. The wicked shall be a ransom for the righteous, and the transgressor of the Asharim. The NIV says, The wicked become a ransom for the righteous, and the unfaithful for the upright.
So we actually looked this up because we were trying to figure out why it says there shall be a ransom. What does that mean? Are we going to like hold them hostage? What does this mean? So it actually means that they are going to take the punishment of the upright, of the holy ones. They are going to take the place of judgment for the holy ones on the Torah. That's what the wicked are going to take. They are going to take punishment.
They'll take judgment where the righteous don't take judgment. So they basically get what everyone deserves. But since they didn't change their ways, they got punished when the righteous didn't.
Verse 19. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and an angry woman.
So he quotes it a second time, and that's only just a couple verses down.
He's pretty biased because, he did have 700 wives, so he probably had a few quarrels with his wives.
He probably had a few quarrels. It is better to be in the wilderness with nothing, like in a desert, like a hot desert, than to have someone that is quarreling, to have a contentious person around, and to have contention in the house. You need to, if you are that person that causes contention, you really need to look yourself in the mirror. You need to really change that. You need to bring peace in your family. You need to bring holiness. You bring happiness in your family. Because a family against each other does not stand. And that's what Yahusha said. How can a house against itself stand? And it doesn't. A house against itself, when its house is fighting, it will crumble. Things will go downhill very fast. So that's why you have to bring peace. You have to be willing to be the peacemaker of the house. You have to be willing to be quiet and hold your tongue if there is a contentious person in the house.
Verse 20. There is treasure to be desired, and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man spends it up. The NIV says, the wise store up food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down.
So there we go again with people that gulp their food down, the oil again, that throw away the oil, and why you must keep the Torah, you cannot throw away the oil.
If you throw away the oil, you lose your chance. It could be also a physical food. Because a lot of people aren't storing food. We should be storing food because we see a lot of places where it looks like there might not be food. Food might be running out in some places. And if you have a chance to get food and grow food, or maybe even buy some extra, that's what you should do. You should store up your food so that you are wise. So that if it ever comes to a time where you need food and you can't afford it, or there's no place to get it, then you have some for your family and you have some for you. So you definitely should be storing up food for yourself.
Verse 21. He that follows after righteousness and mercy finds life, righteousness, and honor. The NIV says, whoever pursues righteousness and love finds life, prosperity, and honor.
So those things, life, prosperity, honor, that sounds like a really good thing to have. That sounds like amazing things to have if you pursue righteousness, if you follow after it. And what is righteousness? Righteousness is the Torah. Those who follow the Torah are considered righteous. They are considered the righteous ones. That is what is considered in Revelation, or those are the people that keep the faith in Yahushua, and the people that do the Torah, the commands of Yahuwah. And that is the people of righteousness. So if you pursue after righteousness, there's life, there's esteem, there's greatness that comes after as blessings when you pursue the life of the Torah.
Verse 22. A wise man scales the city of the mighty and casts down the strength of the confidence thereof. The NIV says, one who is wise can go up against the city of the mighty and pull down the stronghold in which they trust.
So what if he's a wise man will know the entrance. He'll know how to get into the city. If you're wise, you can go take down the strongest of your enemies. But if you're not wise, and you can be wise, you don't have the Torah. If you don't have the Torah, you do not have wisdom, because the Torah is the beginning of the wisdom. That's where you start finding wisdom. You start by in the beginning of the book. That's where you can find your wisdom. And if you want to take down your enemies, you want to do it, you'll know how to do it. You'll know the right way to do it, because you will have wisdom.
Verse 23. Whoso guards his mouth and his tongue guards his soul from troubles.
All right, that's probably one of the most powerful verses you could have in today's society. Everyone has rumors, everyone speaks, nobody can be quiet. It says that if you guard your tongue, if you are able to keep quiet, it will save you from the day of distress. And the day of distress is when something happens, when you say something evil or you say something that is wicked about another person, it comes back to you years later and you can't defend it because you know you've said these things. What are you going to do? You have to be able to keep yourself quiet. You have to be able to keep your thoughts to yourself. That is a trait of a righteous person, is not spreading rumors. That's what it says in the Torah. Do not go as one as a talebearer. Do not go as one that spreads rumors.
Verse 24. Proud and haughty scorner is his name, who deals in proud wrath. The NIV says, the proud and arrogant person, mocker, is his name, behaves with insolent fury.
So we have the proud, haughty scoffer, and that's something you don't want to be. It's warning us. Shalom is like, you need to be a humble person, you need to be a quiet person, you need to be someone that is uplifting to people and not bringing them down, you don't want to act with arrogant pride. Because if you're too prideful, you won't humble yourself before Yah. And if you don't humble yourself before Yah, how are you going to make it into the Shamayim? You are a stiff-necked person if you are acting with arrogant pride.
Verse 25. The desire of the slothful kills him, for his hands refuse to labor. The NIV says, the craving of a sluggard will be the death of him, because his hands refuse to work.
So another thing he repeats is you must work for your food. You must work to eat. He says, don't be lazy. You must provide for yourself and for your family. He's like, if your hunger is going to kill you because you refuse to work, and it's just another thing where you have to work if you want to eat.
Right, you don't want to be a lazy person, because if you're lazy, how are you going to be diligent in the word of Yahuwah? Are you going to be searching out for Yahuwah? Are you going to be working to learn His commands? Or are you going to be sitting on your couch doing nothing? Are you just going to sit there and be a sloth? No, you want to be someone who is honorable in the sight of Yahuwah. You want to be diligent. If you're a child, you can be diligent in your chores. You could be diligent in the word of Yahuwah. You can be diligent by obeying your parents. You could be doing good things. And when you're an adult, you can go to work. You can make money, you can make food, and you can plant a garden, you can plant a field, and you can be searching. Everyone can be diligent for Yahuwah. Everyone can be working hard for Yahuwah. But if you refuse to labor, you will die at your own hand.
Verse 26. He covets greedily all the day long, but the righteous gives and spares not. The NIV says, all day long he craves for more, but the righteous give without sparing.
So this continues on from the last verse, how the poor man has nothing, right? He wants it all day, but he can't do it. He's too lazy to do anything. But the righteous, they give things away because they have it, right? They are blessed with their work, so they are able to give stuff away. They are able to give without ceasing. They're able to help the other people that need the help. And if you guys are someone who is lazy, it's a great time to start working. You have to find that motivation to work, because motivation should be Yahuwah. Finding the kingdom, being someone who's a hard worker in the eyes of Yahuwah. Don't do it for anybody but Yahuwah. Work for Him, become a diligent person for Him, because you have a chance at working hard. Yahuwah all give us all a chance to do something. And if you can't find a job, you can't do something, be diligent in the word of Yahuwah. Pray to Him. Don't not cease praying. Always follow Yahuwah.
Verse 27. The sacrifice of the wicked is abomination. How much more when he brings it with a wicked mind? The NIV says, the sacrifice of the wicked is detestable. How much more so when brought with evil intent?
So that could be a modern day Christian when you have a sacrifice and they pray grace on their food, they pray grace on things, and you have a wicked mind. When you say the Torah is not a cross, that is a wicked mind. When you are in sin, that is a wicked mind, and that's an abomination to Yahuwah. When you have a slaughter, when you bring your sacrifice to Yahuwah, that's a slaughtering. And when you pray the blood of Yahushua for your sins, to cleanse you of your sins, that's an abomination to Him. He said that's an abomination. Especially when you have a wicked mind, if you are a wicked person. And that is another thing that people need to know, is that when they pray grace, it is wicked. It is an abomination in His eyes if they are still living in wickedness.
Verse 28. A false witness shall perish, but the man that hears speaks constantly. The NIV says, a false witness will perish, but a careful listener will testify successfully.
So, someone who is a false witness will perish. They might not be perishing on this earth, but Yahuwah will judge them for their sins. They will be completely judged, and if you are not repenting, then you are going to be judged. But someone who is a honest witness, someone who tells the truth, they will be blessed. They will continually speaking the word.
Verse 29. A wicked man hardens his face, but as for the upright, he directs his way. The NIV says, the wicked will put a bold front, but the upright give thought to their ways.
So the wicked hardens his face. What does that mean, hardens his face? It means he hardens his face, he hardens his heart, he hardens his neck. He becomes a stiff-necked person, and he does not want to listen to what Yah has to say. But he says he makes way for the upright, for those who are righteous. Yahuwah makes a way for those who are right. Those who are willing to humble their hearts, willing to soften their hearts towards Him and listen to what He says. He says He makes their way for them. And if you are hardening your face, today is the day that you can come out of that. Today is the day that you should come out of that Yahuwah is calling you back. He wants His children to come back to Him, and you can be one of His children today.
Right. He said, don't make your eyes too big, be humble in your labor. Absolutely, you should be humble in everything you do. That's something we do every in our work. We shouldn't be striving to be rich. That's something we want. We don't want to be rich, but we want to be able to feed ourselves. We don't need to do it. And even if we don't have money, Yahuwah will provide for His people. He will not give us more than what we cannot handle. He will always help us in the time we need it. And then He's also said, you cannot clean a pig. You got to stop eating and living like garbage. Absolutely, you cannot clean a pig. A pig is an abomination. It's not food. It's a trash can. Because Paul talks right now, he's talking about eating good food and stuff. And well, these things aren't considered food, so you can't say eat whatever you want as food because that's not considered food. Maybe to outside lens, but to Yahuwah, that is not considered food.
It's like going to a trash can, putting it in a pan, cooking it up, putting it on a plate. It doesn't make it food. It's still trash. It's still garbage. You can't make it what it's not. A pig is unclean, and it will never be clean. And trash is always trash. When you throw it away in the trash can, and it sits there in the trash can, it is trash.
Right, the pig can eat whatever he wants, and it's inside of him. Same thing in the trash can. Throw whatever you want in the trash can, it's still trash.
Verse 30. There is no wisdom nor understanding, nor counsel against Yahuwah. Yeah, he says, there is no wisdom, no insight, no plan that can see against Yahuwah.
Basically, there's nothing without Yahuwah. Yahuwah gives all these things. He gives you counsel, wisdom, understanding. And without any of these, you cannot do anything. Yahuwah gives us these. Yahuwah blesses us with these. He helps us. He guides us with these. So this is what we need to have. We need to have understanding and wisdom. And Yahuwah will give that to us. If you are following His laws, statutes, and commands, He will give you understanding. He'll give you wisdom. He will teach you. But if you try to have this stuff without Yahuwah, it'll never work.
Verse 31. The horse is prepared against the day of battle, but safety is of Yahuwah. Yeah, he says, the horse is made ready for the day of battle, but victory rests with Yahuwah.
Alright, so the horse may take you into battle, you may go into war with it, but Yahuwah has control over everything, whether your victory or not.
He is the one who guarantees your safety. The horse is your ride, but Yahuwah is your protection. Yahuwah is your shield.
That's how it should be. We should rely on Yahuwah for our protection. We should rely on Yahuwah for our victories. We should rely on Him for everything. He says He fights our battles. We don't have to fight the battles. He will fight the battles for us. We may be an instrument for us, but He's already decided the battle before it has ever started.
Alright, that was the end of Proverbs 21. It's great to be back. Last week we missed it, guys. We had a little dog issues, but we are back this week and we're trying to stay consistently if we don't have issues. And yeah, don't forget to join our Telegram group if you like. We have a lot of people from different countries.
Different countries, different languages. A lot of great conversations are in there. You have a lot of people that ask really great questions. A lot of people that have really good, interesting ideas, and we get to basically talk it out and hash it out and try and figure out what this means and what it is and the difference between translations, all those sort of things. So if you guys want to join that, feel free, go ahead. The link is in the description. So if you have Telegram, just click that. If not, I believe it will take you to the Telegram app on the Google Play Store. So just click that link and see where that takes you.
All right. Is there anything? If you guys want to see what the laws of Yahuwah, if you don't know what the laws are, go check out Yahuwah and Torah.net. They are all the laws we have so far pulled out of the Torah that we have put into a list so you guys know what we can follow in this day and age.
All right.
All right, everyone.
Thank you guys so much. We will see you hopefully next week. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.